For months, astronomers told us 3 Atlas was nothing more than a spectacle. A harmless interstellar visitor that would skim past Mars and vanish into the dark. But the cosmos rarely does harmless. And now, James Webb has delivered data that flips the story upside down. The numbers have changed. The trajectory has shifted. And for the first time, scientists are whispering the one thing no one wanted to hear: 3 Atlas might strike Mars. This isn't just about a comet. It's about precision maneuvers, clock-like pulses, and an object that behaves less like a rock and more like a spacecraft. When 3 Atlas was first spotted on July 1st, it looked ordinary enough, a fast blur glowing with a tail. But instead of slowing down like a normal comet, it began accelerating. Its course bent tighter, as if it were steering. Even more disturbing, Webb detected rhythmic gas bursts from its tail, not chaotic venting, but thrusts, every 17 minutes, like an engine firing on command. Soon, simulations revealed a chilling truth. A near miss had become a near impact, with a projected pass just 2 million kilometers from Mars. And at its velocity, even a small push could send it colliding into the planet. Each pulse looked like a course correction, aligned with the Martian orbital plane. Scientists weren't watching an object drift. They were watching it aim. Then came the metallic echoes. Radar reflections from NASA's Goldstone Array and the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter didn't match ice or rock. They bounced back hard, sharp, structured, like alloys. Amateur astronomers began capturing high-exposure images showing eerie green beams converging toward Mars, pulsing in sync with the exhaust vents. This was no natural body. It was behaving like a machine. If it hits, the devastation would be biblical. 10 billion tons of mass traveling at over 50 kilometers per second would unleash millions of megatons of energy, carving a crater 60 kilometers wide and scattering debris across orbit. Mars rovers, orbiters, and decades of science could vanish in an instant. But worse than destruction is the possibility of contamination. If 3 Atlas carries organic material, or engineered biology, an impact could seed Mars with something new. Was this about wiping out? Or about planting? As the world debated, James Webb locked onto the object again. What it found was staggering. Traces of synthetic polymers, carbon nanotubes, isotopic ratios that don't exist in nature. Inside this comet were materials that looked manufactured. And alongside the chemical trail was something stranger still. A repeating sequence resembling RNA, not quite alive, but structured for replication. Not biology as we know it, but life written as code. The revelations grew darker. SETI cryptographers took its orbital data, velocity, vectors, approach, and compressed it as if it were a transmission. What emerged was a pattern. Atomic numbers of life's elements, prime intervals, recursive spacing. The trajectory itself wasn't random. It was a message. The entire flight path might be a signal in motion, with impact or avoidance serving as the punctuation. A yes or a no reply. And Mars itself began to answer. Orbiters detected strange magnetic pulses rising from fissures near Cerberus fossae. Seismic activity stirred. Temperature rose. The pulses matched 3 Atlas thrust intervals, as though the planet was resonating in anticipation. Then, a deeper mystery. Olympus Mons, the largest volcano in the solar system, emitted a harmonic frequency, mirrored perfectly in the object's light curve. Mars wasn't waiting to be struck. It was responding. Ancient myths suddenly looked less like stories and more like warnings. Across civilizations, carvings describe a serpent-like body that curves through the sky toward the red god, Mars. Some even depict concentric waves radiating from the impact site, patterns identical to modern crater simulations. Could humanity's oldest records be echoes of a cycle, one that's happening again? And then, the eye. High-resolution images showed dust fields shifting south of Noctis Labyrinthus until they formed a massive oval shape, tilted at 23.5 degrees, Earth's axial tilt. Mars had blinked. It wasn't random geology. It was geometry. Recognition. Now, with hours left before its closest approach, 3 Atlas is no longer just a rock hurtling through space. It is a signal, a machine, a messenger. It has aligned itself with the Sun, Earth, and Mars in a configuration mirrored in our ancient monuments. This is not coincidence. This is ritual. The object isn't simply passing through, it is performing. And every planet it has passed has begun to whisper back. Maybe the impact isn't the event. Maybe it never was. The real collision may already be happening, not on Mars but in us. In the way we see the cosmos, in the way we understand life, in the way we recognize patterns too precise to ignore. We thought 3 Atlas was just another comet. But now, it looks more like an invitation. And the only question left is whether we are ready to answer.